But yeah. Oh, ow, my back. Oh,
Have
it
you hit it?
says we are live. It shows like a live counter on the on the top of the screen. Yes, yes.
Does it?
Yes, it shows a big red box that says live and it has a 0 and it keeps counting up. Jaffa. To quote
Yeah,
Tina.
mine's still showing the thumbnail on my channel. I've refreshed the page. Still the same
Well, for
thing.
me, it just shows we're live. So,
No, no,
uh,
yeah, I'm just trying to see if it's going live on my channel too. That's what. Yeah,
well,
no signs of it,
Yeah.
bro.
All right. What's up, superhero fans? Welcome back to another episode of Superhero Related. And in this video, I am accompanied with some amazing friends of mine. I do have some douche. We have done previous podcast style videos in the past. We even had Alex from Podcast now on our previous video. And we are accompanied today by one of the lucky subscribers that found my page through the Batman Arkham Shadow video. We got RMX Art. So he has
yeah,
amazing videos on this channel. He did a breakdown of Batman Arkham Shadow. It's a 12-minute long video, really done really well, I want to say. And he just uploaded how he would make a Daredevil video game. So I'm going to hand it off to Skadoosh. He can let you guys know a little bit about himself, and then we can go down to RMX.
Right. So yeah, I cover mostly superhero games. I would say Marvel Spider-Man 2 extensively. So I do enjoy the game. So if you guys want to learn more about Marvel Spider-Man 2, what's going to come next, comparison videos, which is what I'm mostly specialized on, feel free to check out my channel. And obviously we have RMX here, super related, which I've done a few videos with. And yeah, so it's my pleasure to be here. So let's get on with it. RMX.
well, for me, the videos that I cover are on mainly my gaming channel, where I sometimes will do ideas. So I've done, how I would make, a Daredevil game, how I think Capcom could remake the different DMC games and stuff like that. But on my main channel, I just live stream, post whatever, and then I have a separate channel for art. So and then I have the other social medias, which is fun to keep track of and more stressful than anything else. It's like doing taxes, but worse. And I don't even do taxes. That's what's the irony part.
Right.
Oh boy.
So,
but
sorry, go ahead, RMX.
Nothing. It's just like I said, it's difficult to put up with when it comes to all the social medias. You got to keep track of them all.
Yeah, that's a lot being a content creator. I don't think people understand how hard the job really is. So, we got a lot to talk about today, right, guys? We got, as you guys can see from the banner at the bottom of the screen, we got the Batman Arkham Shadow review, which actually did very well over at Gamescom when it released. Couple days ago, almost a week ago now. And then we got WB's next big move when it comes to licenses and IPs. And we got to talk about the disappointment of Suicide Squad Killer Justice League. Now they're on season 2 now, so just definitely a lot to talk about. So we're gonna talk about Batman Arkham Shadow first. I for one, after even when the game was announced a while back, I was a big fan of it because I actually enjoyed Batman Arkham VR. And when they made this game featuring Robert Craig Smith, who's actually been the Batman, the Night Holder, I guess some would say, of Gotham Knight. He actually did Batman Arkham Origins back in 2013 with their release. It wasn't,
which that game was underratedly awesome.
Super underrated. I remember when that game first released, people were like pissed about it because it's like, oh, this isn't Rocksteady, and it's like these, and even now it just shows how the times have changed. It's just crazy. Everybody wants. That's all you see is people screaming about, we need an Arkham remaster, Arkham Origins remaster, Arkham Origins remaster. It's like, where were you guys at?
Cut the stupid multiplayer thing out of it, because that's why nobody can platinum that game anymore. Thanks, WB.
Because the multiplayer sense. But Arkham Shadow has been doing very well review wise. I know a couple of big YouTubers went to go see it. K Nerd, the Arkham, obviously. The Batman Arkham channel, Arkham Boss, all of those guys were able to go play and review the game.
Paladin too, and Caboose, and everybody. I don't know if Uncaged Games did. I know he saw the trailer, but I don't know if he did anything with it.
Yeah, and they've all been saying the game was great.
So who knows?
They've all been saying that the game was has been super great to them. I didn't hear anything about lengthwise. Did you hear anything, RMX, about how long the thing? I'm pretty sure
From
it's just
what they were saying, I remember something was said about like maybe like Podcast Now said something about like 7 to like 5 hours. They said it's going to be long, but like it is a VR title, so I don't expect it to be too long as a console game. But I'm also aware that the MetaQuest 3, a friend informed me about like when it comes to that thing, they're pushing it to the max, so the battery life would be very, very hard on it. So like it would not last long. So it's like you gotta, I don't know how much like long the game would be. I know it would probably be around, from what the people have said, it could be something around Arkham Asylum length, but I don't know.
Oh, that's still long though.
It hasn't been like confirmed how long the game is or how anything, which sucks. But
yeah,
still,
to be honest, I don't know how the combat is gonna be for the game. I keep saying it because it's VR. If you know what I mean, like it's
yeah.
VR.
But it's like it's almost like when you wear a Batman costume, and it's like now you get to react it in full force.
yeah. I think that's one of the things that sold me. Like I was kind of like not really too big on VR, and I actually got mine off eBay. It was a PlayStation VR, $100. It came with the motion sticks. It came with the camera, so you can convert it even with the converter cable to transition it over from the PlayStation 4 to the 5. I actually got Batman Arkham VR on there. I got I think it was Resident Evil, and I had Iron Man VR. So I actually played the Batman Arkham VR for the first time. I always watch videos on it. It's one of those things where you literally have to put the goggles on and have the controllers in your hand, and it's a totally different feel. Like it literally places you right there, you know, inside of the game, obviously because it's supposed to be VR. But that game wasn't really super long. It did, and that game to me was really good. So I can just imagine what years later would do to Arkham Shadow would be. So
yeah, it was very stiff from like what a lot of people said. Like it from what you compare this like Arkham VR to Arkham Shadows, and it's actually a lot more of an improvement over VR. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
No, that's good. So basically, from what I'm gonna say, there's a difference when you're playing on a controller. I've not tried VR games. I'm not like a VR person, so maybe that's why. But that's something about the game, though. I think when you're in love with a game, you wouldn't see it, kind of thing. Well, I can see it because I'm not like totally into it. Don't you see like the graphics? It feels like something's missing. Maybe because it's a VR game, so it's not gonna be graphically up to par with the recent games, right?
Yeah, it's console games have a lot more, you know, stuff to really make sure it's really graphically good, but because this is VR, it's kind of like DS games. There's less emphasis on making it look pretty because there's less hardware power to make it look like as good as like a console game or a PC game.
But not to shit on the game, but how's the combat going to work? Like, for example, it's going to be slower, like really slow combat based on all the games. Because obviously it's a VR game. You have to be able to track it with your eyes, like as you're going. I've seen the gameplay. Like he throws a punch and he backs up, and then he does a move and then he dodges it, and kind of stuff like that. But like normally in a Batman game, you know, he goes back to back. You know, like everything's going quite fast paced. You got dodge. You know, the Spider-Man games and the Batman games, like the combat, how it all works. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's the thing that's not selling for me though.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot slower than what people are used to on like a PlayStation 3, 4, 5, like things like that, because it is VR. The only plus, I mean, the plus side to this, obviously, is like he said, the Arkham game on PlayStation VR did feel a little stiff. This combat actually looks a lot more fluent. Like when we see these guys play it, it looks a lot more fluent than Batman Arkham VR was. Like when you toggle the joysticks in your hand, it's kind of like sometimes his hands will be twisted depending on the camera. The thing is with the MetaQuest, I don't know if the MetaQuest 3 will have this. I know that the 2 didn't, and the very first one, there was no wires that needed to be hooked up. You literally go inside of you literally put the goggles on and you have the controllers and you stand in one area. That's the thing to that. As long as you don't exit the game area, like the PlayStation VR, you had wires and all that stuff hooked up. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty positive that this one isn't going to have wires connected to it like the
well, they're just
PlayStation VR
selling
did.
the headset and
Yeah,
the controllers, and that's it. There's no wires from what anyone like. Even when they were doing the playable demos,
you didn't
you
see
would
any
just see
wires.
people with a headset, and that's it.
Yeah, so that's going to help out a ton opposed to PlayStation VR where you need the camera, you need to make sure that the sticks are, you know, in the right areas, you're not leaving that play zone. With the MetaQuest 3, you literally just slap the goggles on and you put the controllers in your hand, and as long as you're not leaving like the player area that's like the restriction area, you should be good to play there. Like if you like me, if I move this bed out of the way, this is going to be my entire play area in here to play around with. So I think
Well,
stuff like that is sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say something you brought up earlier. You said with Arkham VR, like, you know, it was good in game and stuff, and even though it was very stiff. But the thing with Arkham VR, it never had any combat or the stuff that this game has. Like, it actually feels like Arkham, where you can stealth take down stuff. You can actually do punch stuff, and you can still use gadgets. With Arkham VR, was a lot of moving around, occasionally flip a batarang or use something, and you know, maybe teleport to a certain bit. That's really what it was.
It was more so like sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You know, I don't have anything other to say.
It was more so like a detective, more so like with Batman. You didn't no combat was involved at all. It was literally like you pick up a clipboard, you turn it around and see what's on the front, what's on the back of it. You go do this, you investigate it, you turn the nozzles on the sticks so you can see the different types of discrepancies. Like if you want to dig deeper from like the skin to like the bone structure to like you can see what's inside this guy's body and stuff like that. That was more so of a detective type of Batman. Now this one is actually going to incorporate everything. Like you got the detective mode, you got the batarangs, like RMX said, you have the grapple hook, you have the explosive gel, you actually have different costume that you will be able to use. You even see like the Batwing gliding them over and taking them in. Like you can literally like vantage point up from ledge. You got ledge takedowns, predator mode, like everything. Like he said, it's more so of a Batman experience opposed to Batman Arkham VR, where you put the cowl on it. It was strictly like detective mode. That was it. And it's like you leap from one vantage point and like he said, like a teleportation kind of mode. So I think the game's going to be good. I can actually pull up some gameplay for it right now, actually.
Right. So I've got a question for you guys, right? Are you guys gonna get the headset for the game?
$500. I don't even have a job, so I don't think I would be getting it
That's
right
expensive,
now.
bro.
It's something I'm considering maybe trying to figure out a way to get, but only way I'd be getting that would be robbing a bank. I'd be pulling a Two-Face. No, I'm kidding. I would naturally do that. That'd be bad. I get arrested by the IRS or something. Like, he just said to go around the bank. Get him. Shit.
You don't want to. You definitely don't want
I don't think I would be able to get it right now. I would have to figure out a way to like maybe sell some art or do something first.
Yeah, that's the only thing that would create the bridge for the players. Because if you can't,
I know that a lot of people would want this to be like a console game, but the way it is designed specifically for VR, it would honestly feel like if they were to backtrack and do it for consoles now, it would feel a little bit off, because in doing this for VR, you have to consider, okay, so he doesn't have as many gadgets. So you have smoke bombs, batarangs, the new little gel launcher thing, and that's it. And a lot of people would be pissed because, like, oh, well, if this was an actual console game, it's like, well, there's not many gadgets. So that's the first complaint. Then there's this. Then there's that. It's like, you can't please people because this is like everybody's so in particular. It's like, come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of people that don't like the idea of it being VR. I'm going to say that it was actually a brilliant idea from the start, because everyone always has the power fantasy of like when you put on like a Batman costume or you put on an Iron Man costume, like you walk around in Comic-Con, you get to feel what it's like to do be in that costume. And this, it's like not just feeling what it's like to be in the costume, it feels what it's like to do the combat, do the actions. Because in Arkham, it was a sandbox. You're controlling Batman, but it's nothing what it's like to be like in first person and see what it's like to do the combos. Like you're putting inputs in and controlling him from a distance and doing the stealth. But like if you're in the moment, you like in Arkham, you have the camera is like your greatest ally, right? You have like detective vision, you can see around the room, but like in real life, unless you're looking at a mirror, you're never going to be able to see yourself or stuff like that. So like for this, it's actually very realistic. Like, okay, you actually get a sense of what it's like to be Batman and the Arkham games from a different point of view. It's like you put on the detective vision, you can see the enemies, but like it's not reliant on the camera, it's relying on you. Like you actually get to be a part of the world versus seeing the world from a distance and controlling the character of Batman. You actually feel like you are him in the moment.
Yeah, that's very well put.
All for the price of $500.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I tell people all the time, like I'm still a firm believer in that game is going to get ported over, like they did, like Camouflage Studio did in the past with the Iron Man game that released on the MetaQuest 2. They got ported over to PlayStation. That was originally a MetaQuest 2 release, and it got ported over. So I definitely think that it's definitely going to get ported over to. I don't think it's going to be PlayStation VR 1, but the people that have PlayStation VR 2, I think that it's going to get ported over to that, because I haven't heard anything about a PlayStation VR 3 and it makes it all. So that's one of the things that I'm super excited for. And I'll say for $500, I'm definitely not going to buy it. That's just literally crazy.
I thought you wanted to play the Batman game. Well, that's the cost for a Batman game, bro. You got cough out 500.
It's ridiculous, bro. Like, you see that?
And the best thing, go back a little bit. You want to know something interesting? With the grapple, the way it comes out of his wrist is actually a direct little bit from like Matt Reeves' Batman's movie, because the way the grapple comes out, it comes out a different way. And I think they pulled that from that movie when they were designing the game.
Gotham like a plague. I have to stop it, even if it consumes me.
I don't know how they're gonna do the gliding. It could be just a random button press, but I'm a little worried on it.
I think it's more so of like the triggers on the back of it. It's like you jump off, you glide, and you would use the analogs to like turn like you would on the controller, but more so of you will be able to see all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I will say, I don't know.
It's the freaking bat!
Iconic line right there. It's the freaking bat! Get him!
Jim, this raccoon could be.
Actually, if you go back a bit, I think one of the moves they brought back, I think this was like Arkham City, but they removed it in Arkham Knight, but they have like the bat swarm. I think in a way they changed it up a bit when he does it. I think. I'm not for certain, but I think that's one of the moves that he does in this trailer.
King could be anywhere.
See, like you activate the detective mode. See that?
Soldier in his own fanatic.
Batman Arkham VR, you couldn't do all of that. Like this aspect of picking up things off of the desk and flipping it to see what it is. You could do that, but for it's like combat gliding, being able to walk around.
When you see the combat,
that's
what's how they're gonna sell the game.
Also, funny thing, if you go back with Jonathan Crane, he actually already has like a noose around his neck, which is kind of funny.
Symbol. You could have been a god.
Bolton, yes.
Look out! If you don't calm down, someone's going to die.
Alfred, we tried it your way. Now we do it mine.
Something big's going down tonight.
But did you notice, right? Like right here on this scene,
it your way. Now
he has the detective mode on. You can see he's scanning this guy right here. It's a gun laying right here. Guns laying down. Gun right here. A guy right before he turns off the detective mode. look at how the person hits it. You have to hit that. You know what I mean? That's something that
Yeah, you have to move your head up to your head.
You got to do all of that.
Yeah, and you also can see like you can go into the grates as well. So like you can still do some strategies.
Yeah, you can do great takedowns like you could in the Arkham games. That's the Batwing right there dropping off of explosive gel like in the Arkham games as well.
Well, it's changed up a little bit, but yeah.
It feeds the shadow.
These are people right here. We got Harley Quinn, the ventriloquist.
Scarecrow in the background, and Albert Wesker. Yeah. Not Albert Wesker, but like freaking what's his name in Scarface? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's some stuff that you would be able to see in here too, because this is right before Arkham. This is after Arkham Origins, right before Arkham Asylum.
And the funny thing is, if you look at Scarface, the design is a little different than the one we get, I believe, in Arkham City. And I think what it was said was that Scarface was kind of like a copy. It wasn't like the actual doll.
It was,
And I find it very interesting. They kind of they went with a puppet, like a legitimate puppet look, and it doesn't have like the suit in the way that the Joker's version did. And all that. I think, and I really hope that some of the villains like him and maybe some other ones we could see, because we have Ratcatcher in this game, and we just got we have Lockup and Ventriloquist. If we have Humpty Dumpty and a few others, that would be awesome. My biggest worry with this game is, because of the fact it's VR, is how they're going to handle the bosses. Because in the Arkham games, the bosses were always some unique, but it was always something that had an edge to, like, it reflected combat or stealth, or like it reflected the game very well. And this was like this is going to be a very massive challenge, because you look at like boss fights like Deathstroke or Scarecrow, if you can call the Asylum boss fights completely, that some of them had like different perspectives or they had different strategies. I'm hoping that they could still have that same feel as the boss fights in Arkham, because without like you relying, like, the one thing that worries me is this game is set in like first person and all that. So it's like, I'm worried that with the boss fights, there is going to be a bit of a downgrade when you think about it, because that you have to be reliant on what you can see. And like, if you look at the Bolton fight later in the trailer, it is combat oriented, but it's still a bit sluggish. And it's like, it's hard to explain, but
like right here, you can tell that you have to wait for him to swing to dodge. It's not anything.
I like how you guys been analyzing all this stuff, bro. Like, bro.
I also like that they gave him like a electric little whip thing.
Yeah, almost like the electrocutioner or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a fan of like the gauntlets like that, how they kind of like become the knuckle things. I don't know how I feel about some of that elements, but it's like, it's cool, but it's like the way it looks at times, it's just I do like that they brought Lockup into this. I feel like I think there was one thing. I think somebody tried to say, well, of course they're with Ratcatcher and like Lockup, they're race swapping. He's like, who the hell fucking cares? Who the hell cares? His first freaking appearance in the game. Who cares?
That's been
who cares?
That's been a thing that's going.
I'm so sick of that crap.
Yeah, that's been a thing that's been going on. But overall, I think the game's going to perform. I think the game's going to perform very well, just because there are a lot of people that and it's and performance wise, I mean, the people that can afford to grab a VR, they're going to enjoy it. That's what I mean when I say that. Because you got to think about it. If the game is releasing, they already have the MetaQuest 3 out, right? So we got MetaQuest 3 already out. We have a PlayStation 5 Pro that's in development of coming out too next month, tomorrow, because if the state of play happens, which I think it will more than likely, because Jeff Grubb is goated, right? We got the PlayStation 5 Pro that's definitely going to release. that's going to release this year, and it's kind of like, well, what am I going to choose? Am I going to choose the PS5 Pro, or am I going to choose a VR headset? And I'm pretty sure about 8 times out of 10 people are going to choose the PS5 Pro. That just kind of makes more sense,
Well,
right?
not
Yeah,
really. It depends if you can afford it, because the
Yeah, that's what
PS5
I'm
Pro is
saying.
going to cost more than the
it's
headset.
always about money. I
Yeah,
think the thing, a lot of people don't like VR because of like there's also other variables of like motion sickness and
It's
other
not
stuff.
convenient. Yeah, it's not like a
And I
convenient
feel
thing
like
in games.
it's hard to like really, it's hard to really do anything for those people because it's like it's VR and like some like that type of moving around and stuff like that.
yeah.
It would be very difficult. Um, I
Space is
will
what
say,
matters too.
yeah, I'll say that it's gonna be I'm looking forward to the game. I do have some worries only on the boss fight thing because like you look at boss fights that we have in the series, it's gonna be very hard for them to like structure those fights in a way that works within the confines of like the mechanics and stuff like that. I know that even Arkham Asylum had its problems with like boss fights, and it was massively overhauled, and like freaking Arkham City. So it's like if they're going with an Asylum approach, like that's going to be maybe a detriment in a sense, especially on the boss fight front, because this
Right.
is VR. So
Well,
I don't know how they're going to do it, but you know, I am looking forward to the game. I don't know, like one of my many theories is that the Rat King is actually Ratcatcher, but it's like a split personality or a disease looking like thing. I don't really know,
like a
or
Two-Face
maybe
kind of
it's like a
situation.
brother or a child. Who knows?
Before we get on to the next topic, I do got a question for you. Which Batman game, out of the 4, even Origins, even though that's not a Rocksteady game, out of the
Yeah.
4 Batman games, which one was your favorite?
Well, it would have been a tie for me between City and Origins. As much as I love Night for its gameplay and stuff, I feel like there's elements that I do not like about it enough to where it just it doesn't work as much for me. Where City, I believe that has so many, there's a lot of story stuff and a lot of just things that I like about it from boss fights. Where not Night, but Origins, it's like there's a lot of interesting things with it. Like where I reason why I think not Night, but City and Origins tie for me in a story front is because they where City shows like a dichotomy between Joker and Batman, but it's also Batman's dying. I think Origins tells a unique little thing of like, yeah, it's like another game where Joker's the main bad guy, but like the way Craig Smith like tells like this has this very interesting, almost like when you look when I was watching like Matt Reeves' Batman, that's the type of vibe it would give me. Um, and just like some certain things, like even where he's like when Bane destroys freaking the manor, man, that whole scene with like you know um you know certain stuff really got me thinking about like I really like that. So it's a tie for me. I don't have a complete favorite, but it's like it's a tie between City and Origins.
Yeah,
They
like
have a
that's
lot of elements I love.
I'm more
Yours is
so
Origins.
yeah, this is huh?
Yours is Origins, is it not?
No, mine's the City.
Oh,
I'm
is
going
it? Okay.
city all day. And it's like he said, it's not because of it. And people that play the Arkham games, right? They know like if it was not for games like Arkham Asylum, City, and Night, man, there's no way Insomniac Games would have been able to. I'm not. Let me not say that because I don't want to discredit them at all. But the Arkham City was a huge foundation of the superhero genre. Even
Yeah, the
like now,
Spider-Man games are... Go
we
on, go
even
on.
looked it up. We even looked it up. But yeah, the Spider-Man games were great before. It's like the zoomed in aspect on the character Spider-Man itself, like the way that it gives that camera view and shit like that. that's like City was the perfect implementation. You had, boss fights like Solomon Grundy. You had the Penguin boss fight wasn't really that big, but it brought in so many.
He wasn't even a boss. He just shot at you with a freaking grenade launcher, and like you just ran up to him and punched him in the face, and he's like, you just all out after that. It's like, justice, fuck you, you little bitch.
You literally had all of these different villains.
I feel like the one thing that I don't like about City is Catwoman.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that here's the reason why. Catwoman feels unneeded. Like, as much as, she's like there for like, what appeal. Her story doesn't completely, it feels like it was rushed, and it doesn't feel like it was even, you can play the game without it, and it still is fine. And it has the separate ways problem. The OG separate ways from like Resident Evil 4. It has that. Like, she doesn't have her own missions. The collectibles she have feel pointless. She has maybe 2 boss fights, and like they kind of feel not really that good in a sense. Like, I feel like Catwoman really could have been something, could have worked if they would have done the game a little bit like Miles Morales in Marvel Spider-Man 2, and they would have done it a little bit better, like tweaked certain things and added maybe a few missions or tweaked stuff a little bit. I feel like the game would have been a little even more better than it was. Yeah. But I feel like the one downside to City that makes it why it's a tie for me is Catwoman. Just because of that.
Yeah. Well, but speaking of WB, Catwoman, and Batman Arkham City, we got Warner Bros. is now looking to license out their IP to other studios. Now, this is something that me and Skadoosh has talked about in the past about how WB. I don't want to say too much of slandering it before I get the copyright strike on the channel.
You got because they have a bad habit of messing up.
And it's more so
sending out copyright strikes left, front, and center, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying when it comes to like what they did with Tim Burton and his movies, and then you go into like even them messing around with like their game IPs. It's like
but look. Be honest though. What next game would you like to see WB? What next game would you like to see them give out there?
Characters they could do, but there's a lot that would be hard to do mechanically. Now, would I like to see a Superman game? Yes.
Okay, hold on.
I feel like if they could track down the people that made that one Superman game, all the way back,
yeah.
But before like the economy crashed, it was.
There's one thing with the Superman games though. There's one thing with the Superman games though. It's really hard to make a Superman game.
Yeah, I know that. I'm not blind to that. But if they do it, and like, here's the thing: if there's a reason why I think a Superman game could work. A particular Superman. It's CW Superman. Here's the reason why.
Samantha?
That would be a perfect style of game. For multiple reasons. CW Superman works in so many ways because if they set the CW Superman, this is an alternate universe of it, you can get very unique with it. Where maybe you could have it could be one part, like you can kind of pull something on the lines of like Superman's battling in space, but you also can protect Metropolis as one of his sons or both of his sons. I don't know. But something on the lines of that, because like Superman and Lois did introduce some interesting concepts, like the Eradicator also being Superman's brother or half brother. You have X-Kryptonite and all that crap. So I feel like there's so many characters that you can have fun with when it comes to like WB. Like you can do a Wonder Woman game. That's perfect.
Wonder Woman's fine. Would be I kind of think that they're already making that. Monolith is already on it. So
yeah, like Monolith's doing that. That's great.
We should have a Wonder Woman game. When it comes to Superman,
would be another one.
It would be hard to show how strong it is without putting a limit to it. Like, let's say for example,
I feel like that is like the appeal of Superman is like you can still. I think that's why people like that old
how would you
demo.
Make it weak? Like, how would you, like, let's say in a boss fight in the Superman game, every building should be shattering.
Well,
Literally.
true, but the thing is, Superman does have control of his. Here's the thing: I feel like if yes, he's a very powerful character, but
Yeah.
the thing is, he does restrain a lot of his power. It's like the Hulk. It's like Hulk could easily destroy everything if he wanted to do something. I think we didn't get a Hulk that really could show all his power until we got World Breaker Hulk. And even and yet they kind of expanded the lore, and then you got Immortal and all that crap. But I'm saying with Superman, he does have a lot more weaknesses than people are going to sit there and say. Like, you can say kryptonite, and you could say magic, you can say this or that, but you also have to consider that if you really wanted to, he is weak to certain things. Like, yes, they kind of like, they're almost like they can do certain things to him that do have an effect. Like live wire shooting electricity slightly always does kind of mess up with him, or radiation, or other stuff. Like, he's not completely invulnerable, as like some people say. He does have
Yes, he
some
does.
stuff.
He's got
So
kryptonite magic. Magic can make him weak. Kryptonite is gonna make him weak and give you a
yeah,
window
and
to
like
strike back and
radiation,
etc. We
red
all understand that.
sun, all that stuff.
But like
But
it's
the thing is, I feel like the appeal of a Superman game is to be at full strength. And yes, he could destroy everything if he wanted to. But I feel
maybe
like that's the reason why a lot of people like, I believe, that one demo that one team made. Like, you were fighting Doomsday. I can't remember who did it. But if you can get that team to come back, but like take what they had, customize it, because like it was relatively great what they had. Like, you can push enemies through buildings, you can do a lot of stuff, and there was like a lot of concept art.
Uh-huh.
I feel like if they can do something like that and then customize it for maybe a different version of Superman, it would be great. Like, you can even take elements and stuff. Like, you don't have to rely on robotic enemies. You don't have to rely, because most of Superman's enemies, his like big like main enemies, only a few have like Mr. Mxyzptlk. He's practically a god that can reality shift and all that. You have a live wire that completely controls electricity. Parasite, which is basically like a corrupted version of Rogue, but much worse. Metallo relies on kryptonite. Lex Luthor's very smart. And then you have, I believe, it goes further into like the powerhouses, like Lobo. Like, some of them are like a match for Superman in strength, durability, and stuff like that. It's not as much about power as it is like, can they withstand him, as much as vice versa. And I believe most of Superman's enemies can. It just depends. Like, Darkseid is like the biggest one.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm to ask you now, yeah, this is just a random question.
He says, I think they could make a Superman game. Would I play it? Probably not.
Oh, cool. Haters gotta hate on Superman because he's a Boy Scout. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
There's a reason why it's going to be really, really hard to implement that. But I still understand where you're coming from. But is you restricting him?
I know it would be very hard, but I think it was already hard for them to do Batman when they were originally like. Here's the thing, Batman game.
Human being, bro. Nah. It's easy.
No. Look, if you rewind the plot back before Rocksteady, if you look at the developer interviews, they were saying there's a bit of a challenge to doing Batman right, and doing, you can, like, yeah, he has no powers, but doing him right.
Yeah, doing the lore of his character. That's what he's trying to say.
The way he would fight,
Superman, you have layers upon layers. When it comes
Yeah.
to Superman, you got layers upon layers. You have the lore, you have the making sure you don't make him feel weak, because players are gonna complain if he feels weak. And make sure you don't make him feel OP.
That is true,
he is literally OP. Do you know what I mean? Like, how would you make Superman feel like he's, not too OP in the game?
It's like,
at the same time,
most of
very
his villains,
relatable.
like, this is an argument that Angry Joe said. It's like, most of his villains are. It's not about him being weak. They're already a match for him already. You
Wait, did you say
capitalize on the villains
Angry
as
Joe?
much as you do.
Like the YouTuber Angry Joe?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
There's a lot. If anything, there's a lot of villain like characters I believe deserve a game. And there's one character in particular that I believe deserves his own game. He was going to be an Injustice, but they pulled him, and then he's been yanked around forever, and he finally got his comic series back, and that's Static Shock. That is the one character I think WB needs to capitalize on. Like, he's pretty much like DC's Miles Morales.
Yeah,
there's so many things you can do with that character.
Static, yes, he's not lying. Static Shock is they can 100% make a great game based off of Static Shock.
Exactly.
And still have a bunch of it. Like even WB, right? And what's funny to me is that some of they don't listen when it comes to whatever the
players want,
what the players want.
Yeah,
when it
because they're
comes
execs and all they care about is
movies.
money.
But like animated wise, hands down, WB has the animated comic book series down to a T.
Well, they do.
You know, like don't get me wrong. There've been a lot of amazing Marvel series. You know, like not animated wise, obviously, but for like DC animated films, TV shows, like DC is. I give my hats off to DC hands down for animated series.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like DC has had it down, but like lately they've kind of like slacked in some stuff. Like I feel like with their writing, especially with the animated stuff, like you had certain things that really just, I don't know, it felt like there's a lot of stuff I feel like they've screwed up. I feel like
DC animation is the best.
Yeah, hands down, without a doubt.
Say that it's not. I'm saying like recently, just like with the Marvel movies, it's like recently some things have been going a little And I feel like that's through the writing, as not the animation's not bad. It's like writing and like certain things they've been doing. I feel like that's the problem.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna talk about like characters for games, like DC games, like you could do Zatanna, you can do Green Arrow, you could do Static Shock. Hell, if you want a character like Superman that could work, you can do Steel or Superboy. But I feel like
do the same thing.
A lot of people would say, well, why not just do the actual character instead of like some like knockoff? And I feel like that's the tricky part.
Hell no.
That's
like, let's say when it comes to WB licensing out the games, right? I mean the movies to eventually become games, right? Superman, I know that's not gonna happen because it's just it feels like no developer wants to take on that. You know,
it's a lot
journey to make a Superman game.
That's what they're making just to see what I can do with it.
That's why they're making a Wonder Woman game, because that's much easier, you know.
Well, I think the thing is that's the one thing is like there's always a challenge to something, and like that's the whole thing. You got multiple Spider-Man games that had all these great elements, and then like you got one studio that looked at everything else, like all these work great. Let's fuse them together, and then you got Insomniac Spider-Man. Now, did it do anything original? No, but it did kind of take all this stuff and kind of make it work. And showed, okay, this is how you make a Spider-Man game. And I feel like if somebody can, like that's what they did with Batman. That's what they could do with Superman. Given the right opportunity, given the right studio, given like, okay, this is what we've had in the past. A lot of people take the gripes that didn't work and look at the character's history, look at what would work. Then you can maybe make something that's worth a damn.
Look, let me ask you one question, right? This question is probably gonna create some debate right here, right now.
No,
Superman versus the Flash.
Stop that, bro. You do this every time.
Oh my goodness.
No. Hold on. Be honest. Superman versus the Flash, bro. Superman versus the Flash.
You're okay. Look, Superman versus the Flash.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. If you take away the Flash's ability to run on anything, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You take the Flash's ability to run, Like if he can't run on a solid surface, he's fucked. So if Superman just was quick enough to grab the Flash and like whisk him off somewhere, he can. That's it. He's fucked. Like if he can put him in like the Phantom Zone or in space, he's fucked.
He said if you take away that ability though, but he can run on any surface. He literally phases through buildings.
Hold on. Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, but he can phase through buildings. But here's the thing: the Flash's metabolism is like he has to eat a lot. He has to do a lot of things. There's only so much he can do.
He said Superman in the chat. Hey, yo, big ups to this
guy.
Yeah,
Superman. Duh, that's right.
It's
because
Superman.
The Flash, here's the thing with the Flash. Here's the thing. The Flash has limits to how much he can do. Superman gets his power from the fucking sun, for God's sake. That's literally, he is like, I am Jesus, motherfucker. He's all he has to do. Bro. He can clap buildings together. He can destroy people with, like, he's literally like Homelander. But better.
No. Homelander ain't shit compared to Superman.
Well, true, that's true.
In the same the 7 is supposed to be like the Justice League. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but they're basically assholes.
The Deep is Aquaman. You got A-Train is the Flash. Homelander is Superman. You got Maeve is Wonder Woman. And then you have, you know what I mean? It's
just and all that. Yeah, I know. I'm fully aware. I just still say.
Then look.
I'm saying the basic facts of like Superman can easily beat the Flash. It's like in speed, maybe not, but when it comes to
it's not even a maybe, it's not at all. He would have to catch him and even then the Flash could literally
would lose because the Flash has the Speed Force. And he doesn't have any limits to how fast he can go completely.
Yeah, Flash can literally trap Superman inside of the Speed Force. He literally can trap Superman inside of the Speed Force.
Like Superman knows the Flash. Like here's the thing: if you can, like, when it comes to Superman, there is a story where he, like, the way he sees things. He honestly is a lot smarter than people give him credit for.
Then they make him in the comic books. I mean, not comic books, animated show.
Bro, with the Flash, all you got to do is break his legs.
Blah, blah, blah.
You have to catch him first, bro. So I'm telling you, he can run Superman inside of the Speed Force and trap him in there. And Superman won't even be fast enough to leave the Speed Force, bro.
Okay, you know what? Here's my question: Who in the DC universe could beat Dante?
Dante from
That's right. Nobody can beat the Royal God.
Dante from Devil May Cry.
No one can beat the Royal God.
Is he talking about Dante from Devil May Cry?
That was a joke.
Oscar, wait, hold on. You mean Dante from like Devil May Cry?
Devil May Cry, yes. I was making a joke about it, but no. That's not what
I'll beat him, bro. I'll beat him. That's
no. You can't beat Royal God, good sir. Good sir.
No.
You can't beat Royal God. Okay, I'm joking. But no, I feel like there's a lot of characters I think DC could do video games for. It's like the same thing with Marvel. It's just the thing would be getting the right team and getting like it's very hard to come up with something that's original because like I think even Marvel Spider-Man 2 did have a bit of some problems with like yeah, you get a few features you wanted in the original game, but there's a lot that felt very underwhelming. And when it came to Marvel Spider-Man 1, you had multiple fucking factions. In this game, you got criminals, you got symbiotes, you got fucking the Flame. And after that, you know what else you get? Jack shit, nothing. What the hell? You can do at least a few more factions, and you can do a little bit more. I feel like there's a lot of things with Marvel Spider-Man 2 that I would have. Oh boy, that would be a video. That would be an hour-long video on its own. Oh boy, I'm not gonna go there. Oh boy.
Don't you like Marvel Spider-Man 2?
I like Marvel Spider-Man 2, but I feel like there's a lot of problems with it that, like, you can have the diehards that say it's flawless, but then you also have people that can recognize the flaws of the game and be like, okay, I see where he's coming from. And then you have the kiss asses that'll just be like, I just want a new free game, and so I'm going to say that your opinions are irrelevant. This game's flawless. Blah blah blah. It's like the same thing with movies. Like there's people that are like that, and it's just like, shut up. I'm very blunt. I'm sorry.
For me, I'll say the Marvel Spider-Man 2 is a great game. As much as I did enjoy it, I'll just say the boss fights, towards the end, most of the heroes got killed off. I mean, maybe one or two heroes got killed off camera, right?
And that's another thing. That's something. There's one way to fix that.
Kind of felt like they would have been more.
I would have done something where with MJ, you can actually see video footage of like maybe Kraven killing off the enemies. Like basically, you could see a little bit of the fight instead of just having voice recordings. Like maybe you could have like a little bit of footage of how he fought them and stuff like that. Because it's partially implied that maybe Mr. Negative was the one that did it, but I'm doubtful. Like it's implied a little bit because, like
it's like you can't leave you can't leave her. You know how many people I killed, and it was like, oh, was it really Kraven that fought all of these guys, or was it really Mr. Negative?
I'm really doubtful of like Kraven makes it seem like he was, and then you have, and it's like that's another thing of like pacing and like so many cuts. It's like shit. Damn it.
Yeah. It was never really said.
The pacing was affected because they had two characters in it, right? So you had to balance it.
Well, you had to make his story Arkham City, but the thing was, like with Catwoman, the story was mild.
No, not City, bro.
Still, Arkham City's Batman story was still flawless. Practically.
He said City had two players?
No, City.
Yeah,
Catwoman
City had two players. You had Catwoman and you had Batman. The thing was with Catwoman,
she wasn't as involved in the game as Miles Morales was. Not man, her screen time was super.
End, but yeah, that is true.
Near the end, but her Catwoman screen time was super low compared to Miles Morales.
I feel like that. I think if
it wasn't even that long, I want to say
that I feel like if someone was to do a rewrite of Arkham City, it would be fixing the Catwoman stuff and making it better and making it make sense. Because like the story itself for Batman is fine, but like for Catwoman, it's like how do you take that and make it make sense in a way that is like, okay, what do you do here? But
yeah, she got captured by Two-Face, and once she got captured by Two-Face, that was like a 10-minute fight of you fighting the goons, and then she gets released.
Well, Batman's the one that took care of her, not
her. Yeah. Then she comes back at the end to help grab the stuff off of Batman. Like her, and what people don't know, her screen time was
pointless because it's like she could have easily slid the money through the what's it called and all that crap.
Yeah, that was like Catwoman was DLC really basically.
Catwoman it's pretty much DLC.
You can only swap. Yeah, it was technically. You can only swap between Catwoman and Batman once the game was completely over with. That was it.
Hell, I'll make the argument to the end of time. Cold Heart Arkham Origins DLC was way better than Catwoman's DLC in every.
Yeah, hands down. That was an hour and
I will
2-hour DLC.
Hands down, that is probably the best Arkham DLC ever.
Yeah, that's 2 hour. That's 2-hour DLC. That's why.
Yeah, that was way better. Exactly, it was longer.
You literally got a 2-hour expansion to a 2-hour expansion to the original game, and that's not even 2 hours of just side quests. That's 2 hours of just
in
DLC.
General story. And stuff.
That's not dealing with anything else. But
I think that was awesome.
I think what he was saying is that it would be super hard to make some of these characters, like he was saying, Superman is super destructive. You don't want to make him seem weak.
What IPs though can they license out?
They could.
apart from the heroes that we know, like
it would be to some of the
Green
bigger
Arrow,
characters.
Green Arrow game.
Like that's what he said. Green Arrow. It would have to be a Green Arrow.
Someone that's still vulnerable.
Even with like Superman and Lois, you had the whole thing with that fight with Doomsday. Like you can still show destruction and still have it contained. Where like because Superman does hold back his strength a lot, but when it comes to certain like villains that like equal him, it's like he doesn't hold back his punches mostly. Because like he can go stronger. He just chooses to hold it a lot back. It's like with Batman, he does restrain himself from putting guys in a coma and killing them.
Who would want to play Superman game where he's holding back the whole game? Everyone would.
Well, it's like he holds back, and even in the comics.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like he holds back in most fights with like.
I think it's the same story they say for every hero. They say Spider-Man's pulling his punches.
Yeah,
Superman's pulling his punches.
Well, obviously, because like you're battling against like weak ass people, like with guns or shit like that. I feel like most superheroes do that because it's
no. I mean, like Spider-Man fighting with his like actual villains. Let's say he's
he has abilities, but he has to restrain them. Like he has punched somebody so hard that he has killed people. Like even Jessica Jones, like if you watch like Purple Man controls her, he's like take care of her, take care of this woman. She punches her so hard, full strength, and kills her. And that's the thing is like if they were to unleash full, strength on somebody, it probably would kill them in a second. Because like the bone density and like your muscle structure, there is a bit of science to it of like if they were to go full ham, they would die. Because like brain damage, ribs, anything. Like something could snap and dead. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like like when he goes against like Green Goblin. So what people are trying to say is he can easily end the fight in 1 minute.
He could. The thing is, Green Goblin also is enhanced as well, so that's why he's less like he has durability that can match Spider-Man, so he can take those hard-hitting punches, and Spider-Man can easily kill him. I think he has. But most of the time it's just like it's a choice not to kill him. Like originally he was originally supposed to die. And people loved him so much they brought him back. It's the same thing with Thanos. It's just like people love the villains. But you sometimes do have to kill some off. You can't just keep bringing them back over and over. Or
something goes for the heroes as well. You have to kill some of them off.
I think it's balanced. I think the best character for the sake of the argument for the DC superheroes is that if you're going to make a game, obviously the person that you're going to have to use to try to make a successful game, obviously Batman, and people love Batman because the lore of the character. He's a human. Like you can find somebody that has $1 trillion to dress up in a bulletproof suit, going around whooping people's asses in a super fast car. You know what I mean? Like it's you can relate to somebody like that because he's still a human at the end of the day. I think for the sake of the argument, the best person that WB Games would be best to license out their IP to would be somebody that's not super strong. So it wouldn't be a Superman because it's so hard to make a game, a Flash game. It's so hard to make one of those games.
Like Green Arrow, Catwoman.
Yeah, it will have to be a Green Arrow game, and I'm Green Lantern. You can do Green Robin. You can do Green Lantern. You can do a Green Lantern game and have it strictly revolve around a Lantern.
No, you can't. It's hard to do Green Lantern because of his ring. Because the only way, like, here's the problem with that. It's been done, but it's always been clunky. His ring, you can like the whole point of the thing is like whatever you can imagine, you can create. And the problem with that,
based on the will of the character, that's why John Stewart was always a better Green Lantern than Hal Gordon because his will was stronger than Hal.
But I'm saying like how to do that mechanically would be very difficult to like create. You have thousands of things. You would have to like it would have to be like dumbed down to make sense when it comes to like mechanics and stuff like that. I feel like a Flash game would be interesting, proven by Infamous Second Son and the neon power.
Infamous Second
it being
Son.
done in the past, like a Flash game wasn't worse.
We need that game back.
Good.
No cap.
Shit.
We need that game back. They need to make another Infamous game. I'll be honest.
Yes, they do. Oh, speaking of that, I would love them to do a director's cut for Infamous Second Son. That is actually something I believe.
No. That make a sequel.
He said the bad character needs to have his own IP. Yeah, he does.
I feel like Infamous Second Son deserves more of a director's cut than Ghost of Tsushima did. Because if you look at the concept art for Infamous Second Son, you look at all the things that they wanted to do with it, that is the one game I will make the argument that it would not feel like a cash grab. It would feel like you were completing the game because you can tell that the game was rushed. Yes, it's graphically good. The mechanics are good somewhat, but you can tell that they kind of rushed it. And I feel like if there's one game that I feel like deserves a director's cut, and that's that one. Especially when it comes to the karma system. God, that is win out.
So what do you think? How do you think that the Wonder Woman game that they're working on is going to do? Because we all know that Wonder Woman is based
exceptionally well.
Yeah, because it's based off of Greek mythology. I know you explained to me, Skadoosh, what the Nemesis system was, but it's so easier to do something. It's so easy to do. Not super easy because don't get me wrong, I'm not a game developer or at all, right? So let's just say from the perspective of Greek mythology, they've done games like that with like God of War. They've done games like that with even with Assassin's Creed, stuff like that. It's all of those games revolved around that Greek mythology, and I think that the Wonder Woman game would potentially do super well. I want to see, will it be based off of when you told me to show me the Shadow War game, will it be based off of like open world RPG, or how do you think that they would do essentially the Wonder Woman game?
One thing I feel like that I do worry about is like some of the villains, because I know that Wonder Woman has only a few known villains. A lot of them, she has a lot of villains, but only a few of them are like known and mainstays. Like Cheetah is one, Cersei is another, and Ares. And that's the biggest one. But the thing is, the biggest problem that I could see going against the game is like having a story that's original, having the villains like work and stuff like that, and having a map that really fits like mechanically, the traversal and stuff like that. I honestly, like Epic Crack Battle says, don't freaking put her in an invisible airplane. She looks ridiculous, for fuck's sake. Dear Lord.
Well, so
it looks so ridiculous. I swear
the future game for the upcoming Wonder Woman game, right? So there's
I feel like that for an invisible airplane looks ridiculous.
What?
Even Epic Rap Battles, there's like that whole rhyme was so funny because it's true. She looks ridiculous.
So yeah, based on what you asked, superhero related. So in the game that is to come, right? Because it's kind of sensitive to talking about this kind of stuff. I just thought say something, but we know who she's gonna be fighting. So there's gonna be an invasion, right? And it's gonna be like a semi-open world. Like if you guys have played Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, you probably know what I'm talking about. So it's gonna be a
little bit. The one problem with those games was I felt like some elements of the combat were very difficult to get a grasp on. Especially
the combat is amazing. The combat is amazing. Whereas when you're being attacked by orcs, they have different elements to it. Some might be immune to ice or poison.
Where it was like very
so you have to change your approach. You have to change your approach to the combat in order for you to win the fight. So basically, it's gonna be like a semi-open world, like Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, and there's gonna be an invasion. I know who's gonna be invading the land, but obviously, because I made a video about this like 3 months ago, 2 months ago, and I got copyright strike about it. I had all the pictures, I've got the screenshots, everything. So we're not going to talk about it. But if you know, you know.
Well,
right?
they do like to copyright strike people, but the thing is, something that they do abuse that system a lot.
And that's for years, for
games,
forever now. It's always been like that.
I've never gotten a copyright strike, and now watch I say that I jinx myself. But the thing is, I try not to, I've gotten claims a lot of the time, but I've never gotten a strike. They abused it so much that I feel like YouTube honestly needs to redo that whole system in the first place, where it's like it becomes less of a way for people to abuse it. Because they say that it's like you shouldn't they can do stuff because you falsely do stuff, but really, do you? No, because you let these big companies do it all the fucking time. So no. Oh, sorry. It just so annoys the shit out of me because they do that type of crap a lot. People try to abuse it. You have people like even other content creators copyright striking another one. Just like it's a bunch of crap.
Yeah. So like,
I know that's off topic. Sorry.
Based on the experience from the Shadow Mortar games, I'm really looking forward to this one. I've got trust in Monolith. I've played their games; they feel really good, and the main reason that's kind of driving me towards this game is the Nemesis system, where you can defeat an enemy now, and they can come back like few hours later, few games later. And they might be powerful. They're now immune to whoever you used to defeat them in the first place. So now you have to find a different way to tackle them. And they could even be way powerful than you. Like you could be level 50 and they'll be level 56 kind of thing. You know what I mean? So they're coming back stronger than you.
To that system is that Wonder Woman isn't known for dying. I feel like she'll fight to her last breath. And like if she does die, they would have to make it makes sense because there's
she's not gonna die.
Versions of her where she's born from clay, or she's the child of Zeus.
She's a demigod. She's basically
exactly.
She's a goddess.
The thing with demigods is even they die, and they would have to find a way to make that whole thing make sense, and that's something that does.
I mean,
I guess it's like Shadow of Mordor. It does make sense because the guy's already dead and he's possessed. But with Wonder Woman, a character that isn't known for like dying and stuff like that, and the Nemesis system is based on like you defeat them or they defeat you. I feel like that whole element is great if you defeat them or something. But if they defeat you, it's like they kill you. Well, Wonder Woman isn't known for dying, so like you would have to really take a lot of things into thinking. Like, okay, how the fuck would that work?
She will be fighting like mythical creatures, so
that
they
is
are
true.
somewhat
So
powerful. Like
ogres, there's a lot of things that
giants.
I'm 50,
so they're pretty strong as well, I would say. Do you know what I mean?
Like
Wonder Woman she's strong. She can take on Superman for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then after that, Superman's gonna be.
It would be less than that.
Let's wrap this up real quick. Do you know what I mean? Like she can hold him off like 5 to 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? The Superman's had enough.
Yeah,
and just
you get Suicide Squad, and it was like maybe 5 seconds.
Yeah. The fight with Superman that was actually pretty good. That was a pretty good fight. It shows you how strong Super is. When he's ready to end the fight, he's gonna end it. Do you know what I mean?
Actually, if there's one, I take that back. Thinking about something you were bringing up earlier about Marvel characters that
could be in their own game, I can think of a few, and the biggest one would be Power Pack for 3 reasons. We can kind of take a similar style that Guardians did, and but kind of change it a little bit where you can actually play as those characters as well, and maybe upgrade them as well. Like in separate parts of the story. So like you can mix the Guardians with Devil May Cry 5 where you can play as a certain character at certain points in the story. That would be perfect because each one has a certain set of abilities. Julie has like super speed. What's his name? I think Jack, what can turn into mist. Alex levitation or something he can do. I don't know his extent of his power. And Katie, I believe she can create balls of energy. I don't know what the whole thing was with her, but if anything, that whole team could be a kid's show and it would work perfectly. So
yeah. a kid's game for sure too.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I feel like it could be like in the side of like Teen Titans, like the OG Teen Titans before Teen Titans Go came in and fucked up everything. You can kind of do a similar thing to that.
Oh, Teen Titans would be. Oh my god, that would be a good game.
Yeah,
a
Teen Titans game would make more sense.
Oh, bang, bro.
Well, that too, but I'm saying in the realm of Marvel, like I don't want to see you can have Young Avengers or Power Pack, and it would work.
Yeah, Teen Titans,
Young Avengers or Power Pack.
Because they all literally all can die except for Raven, and even Dan Hurst, she can too.
Cyborg as well.
Cyborg can die. Yeah, all of them. The Teen Titans can die.
I mean, Cyborg is it still regarded as a human being?
He still has a heart. He still
like
has
a human heart.
Like a human heart. Yeah.
Hell, they have like the Teen Titans have a lot of villains and stuff like that. So you can really do a lot.
No, Iron Man has like a pacemaker kind of thing.
So he's not human.
Speaking of Iron Man, wait a minute. We haven't even talked about the Iron Man game and the Black Panther game.
If he hasn't got the actual heart, like he doesn't got like a human heart, is Iron Man technically human? Then so what's pumping?
Well, no, he's human because the thing is he's not cyborg. He's not a cybernetic. Like here's the thing.
Yeah, but hold on.
Cyborg was partially
one question before you start. One question.
But he got damaged, but he got like they healed him with like alien technology, partially.
Okay.
So like depending on his origin, right? Okay. So he's but with Iron Man, the only thing that's cybernetic about him is the thing that's stopping the metal from going in his heart. That's it. The suit is like it's not connected to him. He can summon it, he can build more, but it's not built in him completely. The only piece of technology is keeping metal from going in his heart. Cyborg, on the other hand, it's built into him and stuff like that. So there's a bit of a difference.
Right. I've got one question, right? So the main question I'm going to ask you now is like, if you like, let's say, if you know how the human body works, right? So you know the blood comes from the heart, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like I try paying attention in school,
but it's also, about you. Like, I don't know. I'm not very good. I when it comes to school, I was the worst student.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But we all know blood gets pumped from the heart, bro.
Yeah, and stuff like that.
Everyone goes to your brain, your every part of your body. So if he doesn't have a heart that pumps the blood, so where's it coming from?
Well, the thing is, you have to consider that the mother box technology, I feel like, would partially fix elements of his heart. I feel like if he does have one, because
are you talking about Cyborg or are you Skadoosh? Are you talking about Cyborg or Iron Man?
Iron
Man.
Iron Man.
Iron Man. If he has a human heart, obviously. It's just the thing is, here's the heart is on the side of his chest, right? Mm-hmm. Where the arc reactor is in the center. So it's like the heart is in between the ribs. This is like in the very center of his chest. So it's like it's almost in the center where the point where the ribs meet. So it wouldn't be you wouldn't be taking away his heart. It's just in the center where it's hard to explain.
So you're saying his heart is still there?
Yeah. But beyond that, we haven't even talked about the Iron Man game and the freaking Black Panther game or Suicide Squad yet. So, should we talk about those, or should we talk about the last one?
Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Man, that game is crap, bro. Like I don't even know.
Oh boy, that's the biggest understatement of the year. Okay, here's the thing. Here's my thing with that game. I was looking forward to it because, like, genuinely, like most people, Arkham, love it. but the thing that really started to, like, as the more trailers, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. The problem started to occur when you like actually saw, like, when I saw the gameplay, I was like, oh come on. Like like most people, I was like, like there's so many ways you can make this better. It's like you can make it a strategy based shooter. You can have it to where certain characters have guns, but like, it's better if you use certain things. It's more like a tactical unit type of like game. That's what, like, well, the way I was thinking. Like you can do so much with it. It's like Gotham Knights. It's like you can mix Gotham Knights with Guardians and like command them to do this or whatever, tactical based shooter and whatever.
No, because
like the more stuff that came out about it, and then the more like the live service shit. At that point, I was like, come the fuck on. Haven't you guys learned your lesson already?
The thing is, the devs did say that initially the game was planned to be melee based. But
yeah,
I don't know what
that's
happened.
the thing. I wish they would have done
they
I
changed
feel like
up the
the
whole
only
thing.
character I feel like, here's the thing. I feel like the only two characters that shooting works best for are Deadshot and Harley. Harley, because I feel like she has used guns before,
Yeah, she's used
even
guns
in the
before.
Arkham series,
Guns,
so it's
bats.
like it wouldn't be a bad thing to do.
Yeah,
I
but like
feel
King
like
Shark, he's
for
got
the
like super
other
strength.
two,
You should be able to use that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Boomerang. I don't know what I mean.
Boomerang, it was
Boomerang.
just like, I
Do you
honestly
know what I mean?
think
Like,
that
how
he
do you
was
implement him into the whole game? Like it's, I would say it's a
like, I
wrong choice
personally,
of
I'm here's my thing with Suicide Squad.
it's a wrong choice of
Deadshot was
characters to
fine.
use.
Harley, I guess, because she's like a staple of stuff, I feel like you could swap her out with somebody else and it would still be fine.
Yeah.
Boomerang, I would have swapped him out with Captain Cold. King Shark, fine. And I would have added a couple other members. Here's what I would have done if I was if I was Rocksteady, I would have added it to where you can have teams of the Suicide Squad is usually more members. So like what I would have done is like, okay, it's a game based around 4-player co-op, right? You can have in the Suicide Squad, you can have like 2 teams of 4. You have this team, this team. You can swap out who you want to play as. Like, let's say the base game, you have all of the members show up in like the like the freaking Justice League and all that crap.
Yeah.
And basically, you can but once like you get in, like they get a call from Waller. So like it both things interswap. So you can swap certain members to the other team or vice versa. And the thing was, like that would have been better from at least from a story standpoint, because like if you're gonna do the Suicide Squad and it's gonna be 4 members, you would at least have to do it in a way that makes sense, because Harley has no powers, Deadshot has no powers, King Shark debatable, Captain Boomerang, what the fuck were you
King Shark's
thinking?
got powers. He's got super strength.
He's a metahuman.
Yeah, he's a super
Well,
strength.
yeah, I'm saying like debatable in a sense of like, powers. Like, yeah, he has like durability and super strength, but I mean like something that could take on the fucking Justice League. It wouldn't work.
Hell no. He's not taking on Superman, bro. Like,
yeah, exactly.
He's got
the
super
only
strength.
okay, they tried to justify it with magic. That's not enough of a justification. Go fuck yourself. I'm sorry. I gotta be blunt. That was the stupidest justification. Like, because he has ties to magic. That was dumb. I would have had it to where each Suicide Squad member would have had a tie to like they would relate to each. Like, it would have been okay. Here's what I would have done: teams of 4. So you have Deadshot, Harley, Captain Cold, King Shark. Another team. So I don't know many Green Lantern villains, so I'm gonna just say one Green Lantern, one that would rival. Cheetah, probably Bizarro, maybe, I don't know, someone that could rival Superman. Maybe they get killed off.
One can rival Superman.
And then you can have one last member. So it's like teams of 4. So it could still work. Like, here's the thing. I would like, you can do a strategy-based shooter, you can do melee. The biggest problem that I feel like the game has is one thing that happened near the end. I feel like that scene with Brainiac showing. What? Sorry.
No, so I was telling the guy in the chat. He spelled skadoosh wrong.
Well, the thing was, like, Brainiac shows up to try to appeal to the Suicide Squad near the end. I love you, Big Dad.
I don't know what these guys are on about. I don't know. I can't decrypt that. I can't decrypt that.
What am I gonna see in the chat next?
I didn't even read it.
If I see uwu in the chat, I'm just gonna.
Oh man,
my brain couldn't I feel like with Suicide Squad, there's a lot of elements that I feel like you take on the Justice League, and I feel like with Brainiac as the main bad guy, the biggest thing that I could have seen them do is like, okay, what if you have like the first thing, you don't have to deal with the Justice League at first. You have to deal with the lackeys. So like, let's say the Bat family, like certain members like Red Hood, fucking Nightwing, Robin, they're under the control of Brainiac, right? They control a certain district. So you have there's 3 of them. They patrol a certain district of Metropolis. Then you have another lackey of like one of the superheroes. It's like, you know, they try to send them in, and they got controlled by Brainiac, whatever. And they're basically on this side, and you have like, the more you take them out, and then like Brainiac shows up, he's like, tries to appeal to you guys, like, if you if you're gonna try to get in my way, then you guys are gonna face the real threat. And then he releases, like, then you have the bit with what is it? Green Lantern, and then you have all that stuff. It's like, I feel like in a way that would have helped the game a little bit more with pacing, because like if you deal with like the lackeys, it'll show you a little bit of like, they do have like, it shows a bit of like the problem with the clones and stuff. Like, I feel like if this was the actual Justice League, I feel like there should have been a bit of some dialogue that showed that there was some redeemingness to it, where it's like they're being controlled, but how they're looking at it is like they're trying to still work for the greater good. And that's like Brainiac's warped their point of view. And I feel like that was something that the game didn't even do. Like even the Riddler being in the fucking game felt like an add-on. It's just like he's just there to drive you insane.
Yeah, it's like, how the hell did this guy survive out of everybody that's in Metropolis? The Riddler. Survived.
Yeah, the Riddler whole thing. That whole thing was stupid.
Yeah, it was just crazy how they did that.
Like,
but
you could have, like, this is Metropolis. You have the Penguin there, which I kind of could think that could make sense, but I feel like if anything, I would have used like a Superman gun runner, and like maybe he's teamed up with Oswald, so you can have 2 different factions of guns, and that whole thing. Lex Luthor still, it makes sense, so it's fine. Killing him off doesn't, but that's typical. That was dumb.
And who they plan on selling it to? They just any game developer that wants to pick it up, they're thinking about license over.
If the problem is that they're kind of desperate right now, WB is,
and it's kind of their own fault. I'm gonna be honest with you. If the fact that they're desperate enough to be like, here's all our properties, just like buy them and stuff like that, it kind of shows a bit of desperation.
I wouldn't say they're desperate. I mean, they make
a ton of money, because like you had Suicide Squad that they were betting would be the best game of all time, and even like the way they tried to market it, and it still failed.
The losses they had with Suicide Squad, it doesn't hurt the pocket. best believe it, bro.
Well, it does when you have
WB is
multiple
humongous,
losses in a
huge.
row. Like even with some elements of like movies or streaming service stuff, like you have like certain games. Like, well, technically it does because like Gotham Knights came out before. That was a flop. Then you had this. It's an even bigger flop, and they spent more money on it. And the only one that relatively did well with was Hogwarts.
Should I tell you why?
And they're
Should I tell you
already
why?
here's the problem. Hogwarts, they're already trying to go in and try to screw with it. And they
Hold
need to fuck off. They need to leave it alone because if they do that and they basically go and try to make that live service and they try to like screw with something that was already good, they're going to fuck up everything. And
Let me
then
tell you
they're
why.
going to be at a loss. Like they're
Let
going
me
to
tell
go
you
into
why that
financial
didn't affect them
freefall.
in any way, shape, or form. Because first of all, if they went through a bigger loss like that, they're gonna fire everybody. But they didn't close down the studios. No one got fired. No
That's
layoffs.
true,
Nothing.
but the thing is, sometimes
Their
WB
pockets
does
are
not
deep.
care.
That's literally why. If you check on most studios, when they've had like 2-3 games out there and it's not performing as much as they expected it to in order to make the profits back, you start hearing
Yeah, like
about
that's what
layoffs
happened
and
with Avengers, and
studios
that
shutting down, etc. Yeah. So when it comes
yeah.
to WB games, their pockets are way too deep. Like it says WB games, but it's still part of WB. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
they
but the thing is,
they
they've had
they
some
own a
results
ton of
to do
license to
certain
movies and
so
animations and all sort of things you can think of. So I yes, the money is missing, yes, but at the same time, you can tell it's not enough for them to
well,
start laying off.
the thing was, Suicide Squad took 7 years to make, and then they were putting all their faith into like the microtransactions and all that stuff, and like how many people are going to play it. It's going to be so great, and like even with the questionnaire crap, it was like it was given that they were trying to do stuff with it that really did not need to be done. I feel like there could have been so many ways that the game could have succeeded if they did stuff right. I feel like if you would have like here's the concept itself is doing an impossible task, like taking on the Justice League, which are literal gods. And I feel like that angle isn't a bad thing. The problem was the execution and the writing was dog shit. God, you go from Arkham City to this, and it's just like it makes you just want to hang a noose up and just like it's like it's that bad. How they managed to pass this off as good writing is beyond me.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie.
It's like he said, they have so many different IPs going to so many different things, movies, games, Cartoon Network. You know what I mean? Like even when they're like he said, even when it looks like they're taking a loss, they're really not. Even though you would think that they will be, but who's to say that this isn't a part of the budget? Like licensing out. Which would be great. Even like when we talked earlier, the Daredevil game, like I would love for Insomniac Games to pick the Daredevil game up. They have the best implementation. Or even Rocksteady, if they bring back the writers, I don't know if they're still there, did they leave, stuff like that. If they bring back the writers that did, Nightwing's character, that's more of an actual representation of a Daredevil would be the comparison of Nightwing. Both acrobatic, both use escrow sticks and stuff like that. So it's
But the
one of those
problem
things
was like you can actually the thing was with Rocksteady was you go from Arkham Asylum with written by Paul Dini, and then you go to I believe Arkham City. You can tell that like Paul Dini didn't write as much. Like
yeah, you can
it was
tell.
Stephen Hill trying to be like Paul Dini, and that was kind of the something I thought was a bit of a detriment going into that game. Like looking back at it, like you can tell. And I think it was a point that I believe K-Wing brought up about, like Arkham City and stuff like that. I don't remember what video it was said in, but I remember it came out of his mouth. So it was said originally by him, not me. So your mobs can go that direction. But I feel like with WB, when it comes to their games, I feel like Suicide Squad had the biggest potential to be good because it's Rocksteady. And the thing was that WB were the ones that decided, let's make it this, let's make it that, let's do this, let's do that. And it's like it became something that it felt like WB wanted it to be something else, and like it wanted it to be like all this stuff. And it's like the whole point of the Batman Arkham games were that you got to feel what it's like to be Batman. And this, it's been the same thing. It's like, what is it like to be like the Suicide Squad? What is it like to be the villain having to do, something like what? What are you laughing for?
This dude said, who will win in a fight, Naruto with the ancient genjutsu or Scotty Brooks with the
ninth tail?
Oh my goodness. Well, we gotta get the freaking Versus series. Here we go.
Yeah, man. I actually enjoy making Versus series, to be honest. I enjoy making Versus series. I think
we did
actually the videos that I like making it the most are like how I believe stuff would be remade or stuff like that. I think the funnest video I think I got to do on my gaming channel was the one where I was like how Capcom should remake Devil May Cry 3. And I did see a lot of people that were kind of like, I wouldn't call, there were some people in the comments that were a little bit dickish. And like some were nice to the stuff, but I feel like there was a few that were like, that game should never be remade, blah, blah, blah. It's like, not many of them, I'm betting, watched the full video to see like what I was doing with it. Because like the full ideas of the video were like, I took the foundation of the game that I didn't have a problem with. I felt like there's elements that I feel like could use tweaking. And that was like maybe giving Lady a campaign, tweaking the combat, adding some stuff that I felt like could be added, keeping the foundational elements, but just kind of doing stuff a little different, like keeping some things, but not all. It's the same thing with the Daredevil one, but I feel like that one I kind of did rush that video a little bit. I felt like I kind of just threw it together and called it a day, which I kind of apologize for, but
let me ask you one more, right?
Yeah.
Wolverine versus Deadpool. Just a straight answer. Who win?
He's like, that's tough.
They both can regenerate.
We just got a Wolverine and Deadpool movie, and you're asking me this now after we've seen them fight, and it's pretty much a tie.
I mean, it's not a tie. I'm pretty sure one person won the fight, because when it ended by the movie, one person won the fight because Deadpool was all tied up. You remember that in the car, and Wolverine was just.
What I remember was
that he won the fight because he tied them all up, put them to sleep.
Well, the thing was that's in a car, but if we're like in an open terrain and stuff like that, it's like,
man, he was stabbing him up though. He was stabbing him up. He said Deadpool.
Well, Deadpool would probably annoy Wolverine so much that he would blow his brains out. He's just like, it's kind of like that one joke that Walter said from Jeff Dunham. It's like when he was like, he would run for president. He's like, you know what I would freaking do? I would bang on their tents so early in the morning just to piss them off. Maybe they get so frustrated they would fucking kill themselves. That's pretty much what Deadpool would do. Would just annoy the shit out of Wolverine just to the point where he's like, fuck this shit.
Deadpool's humor.
I'd rather fucking kill myself.
I'm going. I'm going. I don't know.
I'd rather
wrap.
I feel like there's so many games that I do.
I'll wrap around.
He thinks he's mystical or something.
Wrap around the wrap. Around.
It sounds like a freaking like he's someone on Tourette's. It's like
tongue
what the hell? Speak English, motherfucker! Do you speak it?
Nah, bro. I probably will have to go. I think skill level wise, Wolverine has more skill and experience. Wolverine has more experience than Deadpool. Deadpool has more skill than Wolverine. Deadpool heals faster than Wolverine. But Wolverine, what's going to stop Deadpool from actually like getting a blow off is because the adamantium structure
what the hell?
that's
we know
around.
Deadpool's half gay, but still.
Yeah. You like how I did that for the
Deadpool
fan.
That was a terrible joke, by the way.
Gave him a blow off.
Deadpool regenerates quicker though.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be able to pierce Wolverine unless he has adamantium swords. That's the only thing that's going to cut. That's the only thing that's going to be able to cut through him.
No, there is one other thing. He doesn't have to have an adamantium sword. He just has to have freaking one particular sword.
Blow off is crazy, but look, he does. I don't know if
blow off is crazy. Yo, Deadpool would like that, man. He's already talked about pegging. Come on, man.
all throughout the movie,
he'd be like, "Oh yeah, yeah." Deadpool like it. We gonna go all night, yeah.
Deadpool. I don't know.
All this is going so far. I'm sorry.
He regenerates pretty quick though, so
yeah, he can regenerate way faster.
There's one sword from like House of X that he would need, and he wouldn't even need adamantium. It was just the one sword that can kill Wolverine. That, or what he could do is like freaking like Deadpool is like a mercenary. All he needs to do is like look at the X file for like how to kill Wolverine. It's like separate his head from his body so he can't regenerate, and that's it.
They're both pretty much the same thing, because with Deadpool, you can't kill this guy. All his cells are already dead. He's basically definition of a
you can kill him. It just takes a lot.
No, you can't kill him.
No, his daughter managed to kill him in the boat. Trust me. You can kill him. It just takes a lot to kill him.
Let me give you an example.
Let him get his point across. I like hearing these.
You can wrap him around a rocket launch, like you can wrap him around a nuke, right? Blow it up. He goes into like pieces, like literally bond up, all that kind of stuff. He's still gonna come back from that, like a phoenix, pretty much, out of nothing. Because look, both heroes are different. Right, because I actually made a video about this, but I did a research before making it. Both heroes are different. Deadpool works as his cells are already dead, so as much as you're killing it, they're not dying. He's just regenerating because they're already dead. You can't kill what's already dead because he has cancer, right? So all his cells are they're dead already. Like that's why it's called Deadpool.
That statement because one, Walking Dead has proven you can kill what's already dead. Especially Resident Evil.
Yeah, but that's what I said is the real definition of a Walking Dead. Hold on. That's what I said is the real definition of a Walking Dead. The Walking Dead movies are the zombies where you can still kill them. They're not Walking Dead then, because if they're dead, how can you kill what's already dead?
Technically, they can be dead, but the thing is, the body itself, even with Resident Evil, it's proven that like they can be dead, sure. But if the brain is they're just like the minor organs that, especially the brain is connected to everything.
Yeah, that's if you shoot with the brain,
whatever is activating the brain or the certain organs to keep the body in like a free flow state of moving around and stuff like that. It's like being brain dead. It's like the heart and everything could be working, but if the brain is gone, everything is on autopilot. You take out the heart, you die. Even if the brain is still working, even if your lungs are still working. It's like
he said, what if you put Deadpool in a vat of acid?
Motherfucker would die.
No, bro. Look, I've researched this. This guy, Deadpool has literally come back to life from a puddle of blood.
and it's always been through supernatural means or something. Throw his ass into a sun. Let's see if he comes back.
That's insane. Like,
throw him into the sun. Throw him into a sun and see if he comes back. He'd be in space. he would
Everyone
be dead.
tried to kill him many times, and he comes back.
No, like literally, no. Has anyone ever threw him into into the sun?
Into the sun. Well,
Yes.
he's
No,
gonna be.
exactly.
Listen. No, let me tell you how it's gonna happen. You throw him into the sun
Because the sun is thousands of degrees Celsius.
Right,
that would incinerate him.
Listen. You throw him into the sun. He's gonna be there in the burnt up, all gone, right? Until because the sun is a star, right? Even if it takes 5 billion years for that star to die, he's gonna come back.
But Deadpool would die because the sun is so hot. No, let me finish. The sun is so hot that it melts anything.
That's gonna form back up.
Hold on. Heat melts anything to ash. That's the reason why in an explosion there's nothing left.
You know what a nuclear weapon is? It's like
besides
10 times
either bones or ash.
Do you know what a nuclear weapon is? It's like 10 times the heat of the sun, an atomic bomb. It's crazy heat, like radiation. If he survives that, trust me, if you're gonna put him in the sun until the star dies, because the sun is a star, obviously. So if he takes 5 billion years,
the sun isn't gonna die anytime soon.
It does, because everything has got beginnings going in. Eventually, it's gonna die. Stars die, and new ones are born. So until the star dies, Deadpool is gonna resurface again. But when it comes to Wolverine, the difference with Wolverine is he has like antibodies that regenerates really, really quick. All you gotta do is kill him as faster than the antibodies, bro. That's how you kill Wolverine.
Also, you have to take in consideration that Omega Red is built to kill him too. So yeah.
I mean, pretty much. But yeah.
Oh well, when it comes enough of the nerd talk. It's like Mom, we're having the conversation here. We're talking about comics and how to kill certain characters. Let me get my glasses real quick. I'm going to have to do this as an essay. Let's see if I get a plus or a minus. Thank you.
I think you did a poll on your channel.
Real world science into this conversation about the heat of the sun. Oh wait, you are a college professor? I knew that, Mom. But no, in all seriousness, no. If there's one thing I think Insomniac should do, as a partnership, that would be making a Ben 10 game. Now we've had a lot of different Ben 10 games, but none have really scratched the mark for me personally.
Yeah.
I would love to see a modern either Ben 10 game, Danny Phantom game, or a Percy Jackson game. The only Percy Jackson game we have ever gotten was for DS. I'm surprised Lego, of all people, has not picked up that franchise. Those motherfuckers have made Lord of the Rings, Batman, Marvel, and all that shit, and you're telling me that they have not picked up Percy Jackson and they picked up Harry Potter? Spare me. It's like, what are they thinking? But no, in a realm of like possibilities, there's one franchise I think Insomniac could do, and like you can take the fundamental stuff of like, okay, how many Ben 10 games have we had? Okay, we had the little
Ben
kid
10. That's some Ben 10 game, bro. Like a good AAA Ben 10
I would love them to do Ben 10,000. That would be the game that I think we can do like on modern hardware. That would be perfect because, like, imagine this. Instead of having like a playlist of like whatever, imagine if you can just you can either have a playlist full of 1,000 different aliens that you can just like if you wanted to choose, and it's like you can like have certain ones equipped to the top, or you can just with a punch of a button, just switch into whatever alien you want. Because it would be so cool to have like a Ben 10,000 game. Especially base it off of like the original Ben 10 Classic and all that stuff. I feel like it would be perfect. Like you can pull the angle of making it look like the show, or you can have it look like real reality. And I personally would love it to look more like the show and stuff like that. That's just me.
Like you would prefer the game to look like real life characters.
Well, I think it would look cool if it was that way. I don't mind it looking like the cartoon show, even if it's I don't know. I feel like it's still cool, but it's like for me, I think a lot of people would be like, eh.
Yeah,
and
bringing that realism.
It's gonna be
bringing that realism into the character.
Gotta be open and world make it look better than the live action movies.
Both ways will be fun regardless, because one's gonna give you that nostalgia of when you were a kid.
Yeah, I feel like hell, you can even do so much with it with like the thousands of aliens you have. Like each one of them could be like they could have different things they can bring to a puzzle, to combat, to whatever. Like maybe you can do something to where like you can make like a story that really like it's like call it like Ben 10,000.
They ain't ready
rise of, like like something of the future, like it's like hero of the future, and like maybe Dr. Animo does something to the Ben 10,000 watch, scatters like some like messes up the DNA samples, so like you have to reacquire some DNA, or like do something interesting with it, and like have like future versions of like this is like an alternate timeline, so you can have evil Kevin 1000, you can have a Charmcaster, you can have Darkstar, you can do like a different timeline of events, and it would be cool. And like you can have Yuri Lowenthal in it or something. I don't know. There's so many things. Like there's games I wish could get made, like Prototype or Infamous or something, but it's like getting them like
that's the old one. That's the old one.
Yeah.
I mean, I played
Prototype. Infamous is the main one. I feel like deserves something. A Young Justice game that would work, but I think that there's one particular flaw is that you've had so many different ones, and with Young Justice, I feel like they've kind of, from the goodness of the first few seasons, now they've kind of like, I don't know, they just kind of It's been I don't know. The newer ones have been
The newer Young Justice games, or you talking about the
season? No, not the games, just in the general the show. It's like you the problem that Young Justice had, especially near like as it was going on, it's like you would go these massive time jumps, and it's like the characters that you were so attached to, like now you have to develop these new ones, and then like it's just like it keeps like it's a flaw that the show has where it's like you don't even get a chance to really get attached to the new ones the way you did the old ones, and stuff like that. I feel like that was something that really started to at least I started to notice as the show was going on a little bit.
I think I think with that is that they have to introduce more additional characters, because I think even at the time Robin was already Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson's Robin in that show in the first season was already 12 years old.
Yeah, I get that.
And to even make the argument, I don't even think he was 12. I think he might have been between 12 and 15 years old.
Yeah, but I mean, like every time that the show went on a hiatus, there was like a time jump. And like then there's like thousands of new characters. It's like you can't even keep up with it at that point, and you don't know what happens to this, or it's like they just like a fill in the blanks, and it's like after that point, it's like okay, like even the whole thing with like the massive time jump between that one season. It's like apparently you go from this whole thing with Roy, and then like apparently him and Chester actually did hook up. They got married. Off like this what's it called, then apparently she secretly had a kid, never told them, and then and now it's this and it's like
that was season I think that was season 3 when all of that transpired.
Actually, if there's one game I think deserves like an actual remake, I believe it would be Marvel's Avengers. Now I want to do a video on this, but this is
Marvel's Avengers remake. Hell no, bro.
Yeah. No. Let me. No, hold on. Hold your horses. Hold it. I know what you all say. It's like Marvel's Avengers remake. Oh god, no. But like I'm saying, like a reimagined remake of
Just
that
imagine
game.
you saw a trailer tomorrow. Marvel's Avengers
Here's
remake.
the first thing I would change. The first thing I would change is changing the live service thing. Get that shit out of the game. We're getting rid of it from the get go. But we are keeping some aspects of a co-op angle, but it would slightly be tweaked and better suited. It's more of a single player game, but you can play as the other Avengers. The story itself and the characters, some of the characters I would redesign, most of them, because I would take an angle from either the animated Avengers movies where like you have Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the show. I would take the angles from that and like how I would handle the Avengers, and also the animated movies. The story I would keep somewhat the same but slightly tweak it, where Kamala does play a major role in it, but near the end, it's not about, oh, Captain America is secretly alive. This time, he would be dead. It's about, like, if the Avengers are gone, this time around, it's about, like, Kamala making, like, the young Avengers. It's like, you know what? We looked up to you. We're gonna stand up for the world, even if you guys won't do it anymore. And like that's what this game would like. I would change the story to better suit like the passing of the torch. It's like these are the Avengers have been around for a while. Maybe we could see like some adventures they had and some elements of it, like with aim stuff like that. That's perfect. I feel like certain things I would tweak heavily,
wouldn't play,
but I like elements enough where it's like, okay, maybe we can do something with it.
Ultimate Alliance remake, I would definitely play that. Hands down.
Yeah, because usually they make remakes of games that were successful in the past because they know.
True, but I feel like if this was, I feel like for this, like Marvel's Avengers remake, like the game, like compared to the base game, what I described, do you think would be better?
Look, hold on. Instead of making it a remake,
yes, in a sense, like the Resident Evil remakes.
Yeah, that's what, but those were like nostalgic kind of games. People like those games, so they made the remakes.
Yeah, but this would be it's remaking a bad game and actually making it better.
Hold on. Instead of doing that, because if you name it Marvel's Avengers remake by the same developer, no one's gonna buy it. So
I don't think I would make. I would.
Hold on.
You gotta let him get his point across, bro. You gotta let him get his point across.
The best approach to it is giving the title of the game to a different developer and don't name it Marvel's Avengers remake, because then it will just be a new Marvel's Avengers game that's a single player, and that way people are gonna buy it.
I can agree, but I feel like because I feel like sometimes, like even with a bad game, like okay, for instance, how many bad games? Like there's been games that Capcom have made that are very bad, right? Like Resident Evil 3 remake, it's nothing like the original. It's not that good. But people would buy a remake of that remake. Like if someone did it, if Capcom redid it and made it better, I think people would buy it. If if Square Enix okay, we're gonna remake this game. We're gonna make it solo player from the get-go. We're going to fix it up. We're going to improve everything that was a flaw in the original, and we're also going to make it almost like a new version of that game and advertise it as such. I think a lot of people would actually buy it. I think you would be wrong there, because like if it looks different enough compared to the original, and it also like really has a different feel, then I feel like people would give it a chance. Like for instance, Guardians of the Galaxy was being made by Square Enix as well. When the trailers were dropping, people were shitting on that game. They like you could see like the state of plays and stuff like that, and people were just shitting on it. Game comes out, complete 180. I feel like if Square Enix was to remake Marvel's Avengers, you can say call it Marvel's Avengers remake, or they can call it something new, but it secretly is a remake of the Marvel's Avengers that they made. It's like you can call it like let's say they call it Marvel's Avengers, Age of Heroes, like Marvel's Avengers Age of Heroes, or call it something else, like slightly tweak the title. I feel like at that point, you can kind of handle it like a remake, because like Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 2, like most of them, I believe, like the remakes don't have like the remake title. It's just like assigned to it. I don't know if it's on the cover or not. Hold on a second. Do I have? Hold on. I don't believe. Yeah, it's just called Resident Evil 4. They just they don't put like remake in the title. It's like a subtitle thing sometimes.
THQ, Road to WrestleMania, bring that back, but not THQ. Pass on that. Road to WrestleMania, they definitely got to bring that back.
I don't know. You're free to disagree with me. I just think that Marvel's Avengers I feel like could have been done way better. And if they were to remake the game from the ground up,
it has to be
taking cues from Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes and stuff like that, I think it would be brilliant.
He talking about Budokai Tenkaichi series got to remake anything as possible.
How you think about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League remake? Did you guys want it too?
No, hell no.
Here's the thing. I actually would. Now, I'll give you a valid argument to why. If they would improve the story and take the stuff that didn't need to be there in the first place out of it, and remake it from the ground up, use some recycled audio and stuff like that, if they could, then yes, I probably would give it a chance. Because here's the thing, if they would have went with their original vision with like combat and certain elements and make it single player and like heavily tweak the story, then yes, I would get the remake version of it.
Nah, man, I'm gonna agree to disagree with you on that.
Paid $100 for the early access, which was a huge mistake.
I would rather see a Gotham Knights remake, because
Gotham Knights, Suicide Squad,
it's a dead game for sure. But if we're making a comparison,
you're getting robotic. I don't know if it's the app or it's something, but it was getting a little robotic for a minute there, lagging.
I'm going Gotham Knights.
Yeah, they're all dead games, bro. Regardless.
But which one did you have more fun playing? Was it Suicide Squad or Gotham Knights? Everybody's gonna say Marvel's Avengers.
Marvel's Avengers
needs a remake.
Gotham Knights.
Hell, like even with my pitch for Kamala's characters, like, okay, we can't bring back the Avengers. Well, you know what? We're going to, be another version of it. Like we'll be like the Young Avengers and stuff like that. I feel like that would be a passing of the torch of like even her and the basic Avengers, like the Young Avengers teaming up with the real Avengers, to team up near the end would be even more sweeter. And then maybe you find out near the end of the game that like Captain America is still alive, but like like in a post-credit scene and like tease it or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I honestly enjoyed Marvel's Avengers. And then I would have to say Suicide Squad Killer Justice League was fun because it felt a lot more fluent. You had more like, it's the weapons that made the game fun. Like it's because it's a looter shooter, but story wise, campaign mode, I'm going Gotham Knights second.
I think Gotham Knights, if they would have like the gameplay was redone, that game would have been a little bit better. The story itself that it's trying to tell is good in concept, but in execution, some elements are piss poor. Yeah. You have three like villains that are a part of it, and like they're just kind of like typical. Like Harley, you could have done something a little bit different with. I think someone actually did try to redo those side missions. Same like for Clayface. We don't even get to see any other villains besides those three. And it kind of frustrates me that they reduce Mr. Freeze into, let's freeze the world. No. It's like, I didn't know we were getting Arnold Schwartz. I'm not going to say the last name. Freaking part of this. I didn't know we were getting that version of Mr. Freeze. It's like, come on,
Yeah,
really?
Those were typically the only ones, like you were saying. I think they should have let. I mean, it was even before the game came out, the leaks, like they told big YouTubers were like, yeah, Bruce Wayne's not dead, he's coming back, and you got to fight him, and he's gonna kill himself again. So,
yeah, and I feel like even Suicide Squad, like the boss fights, there's so many things you could do with those boss fights that could have been improved, like the Flash, like that whole boss fight. Hell, here's my biggest gripe with this game, and it's something that really pisses me off. You got Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, Batman. 5 members. Where the fuck are the other ones? It's called the original 7. Even Alex Ross knows this. Martian Manhunter and Aquaman. Where the fuck are they? They were just shit. Like, they just like, oh, let's just use the basics ones. It's like, no.
For me, from when I played the game, I didn't even want to know where the rest were when I was like midway into the game.
Yeah, hell, you could even like Brainiac controls entirely like Metropolis. You could have had even some villains, like Superman villains, or like what's it called, ones that are under his control, and like you could have had like mini boss fights instead of this typical bullshit of like doing that stupid gun over and over. Like, that would have been fun. Like, imagine having to deal with like Parasite, and then he has to turn into like a freaking kaiju, like in My Adventures with Superman. Now that would have been a cool boss fight. Like having to team up against like Parasite, he absorbs so much power, he becomes like a kaiju, and you have to strategize on how to defeat him, and stuff like you could do so much with that. Like, I don't know what the hell they were thinking. It's like, what was going on in the writing room? Like, well, let's just do the same stupid bullshit for side activities. It's like, fuck no. No one wants that. Even if it's live service, okay? The problem that Marvel's Avengers had was you had 3 boss fights, and you hardly had any. Even in the story mode, you had Taskmaster, you had Abomination. Where the fuck were the other villains that Avengers have fought? Where were they?
But they won't
Non-existent. They cut probably. They cut them, and it makes no sense, and it's so aggravating. And the same problem that Suicide Squad has is like, okay, if you're going to do live service, add something to it. Like, yeah, you could easily do the same stuff over and over, but why do that? Why not do something a little bit interesting? Like, even with the story, there was moments where you could be like, well, let's say Brainiac has like a mind-controlled freaking like certain Superman villains, like maybe even not even just Superman, just like maybe he has like certain aliens that are a part of his ship, like maybe he has some mind-controlled Temegarians or whatever, like Hawkman and Hawkwoman's people, and like other ones. Like, you can have like change up the enemy dynamic so much that like you're not fighting the stupid robotic mind-controlled Metropolis people anymore. You can have even aliens that you have to fight that change up the dynamic of enemy encounters, and you don't have to cheat your way into, well, okay, well, the Flash gets defeated, Green Lantern gets defeated, so we're going to take those enemies, and basically we're going to make them into we're going to take those boss fights and add those mechanics into basic enemies. It's like, you can do that, but it's still going to suck. And Brainiac's an intelligent character. You would expect him to play this whole thing up like a chess game. It's like Magneto and Charles. Like, you would expect him to like use more to his advantage. Like, I was expecting like maybe they could even throw us some curveballs, like with enemies. It's like, you can have like aliens under his control. You can have basic people, like certain like even supervillains that like maybe that were a part of Metropolis, like they were locked up in like iron, like maybe a prison in the off chance of like Metropolis. Like you can have like Superman villains. Like, yeah, I think a lot of people will be like, well, this just gives me a fault. Like, why couldn't we have a Superman game and fight these guys? It's like, well, you could, but it's like still you can do so much, but you don't. It's like even if it's live service, you can do unique stuff. And I feel like the idea that Rocksteady went with was like, let's go and do the basic shit. Let's go and ride again with a cart for 5 whole minutes and get to this location. Let's, defeat a gun and let's do nothing. Nothing original. It's like, yeah, I can understand that even with Avengers, they had a problem with recycling boss fights, but it's like for like the story purposes, I feel like you could get away with a few being a part of the story and a few being a part of like the live service angle.
How long was the Avengers out for? Like, how long was it? Was out for like a year? Did they have like plans for DLCs and stuff?
Yeah, they had like it was out for like a year, and it was just like a big dumpster fire.
Because I would say if they had plans for DLCs, that's the opportunity to introduce other villains. But
yeah,
like I don't know. But it is what it is. The game's dead. I just wish in the future developers are gonna understand that we don't.
I do like what they did something different with it, with using aim, and they use like some Inhuman stuff and stuff like that. I feel like that whole angle was a good idea.
Yeah, it was.
I do think some parts of the game are a bit predictable, and like you could make the argument that, well, they're kind of trying to be like the MCU. It's like I feel like that was
really poor.
Yeah, I feel like that was something that a lot of people made the argument of like it's just like it feels like every character is trying to be like the MCU and they look like it and stuff like that. And it's like I could see the argument of that. So why not have them take more liberties of like the comics and stuff like that? I feel like if they would have designed the characters, like MODOK was the only one that I felt like they actually
was in the game.
She was from Doc Ock.
Yeah.
From Marvel Spider-Man, and that was the only one that was like, okay, I like this. And I feel like after that, it was like Taskmaster, awful, Abomination, pretty okay, and that's it.
I have the game somewhere here. Marvel's Avengers.
I feel like if Marvel's Avengers was to if they were to do anything differently, it would have been the first few things they should have done were, I believe, base the game off of the comics or Marvel's Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which before the MCU, that was probably the best way to treat like Avengers and stuff like that. Bone Thugs. Yes.
You got it, bro.
What does Bone Thugs mean? Explain, good sir. Explain. What the hell?
Bone Thug.
Bone Thugs.
Actually, when they delisted that game from the place from the
this is a masterpiece, right? No, sorry, this is a masterpiece right here.
Final Fantasy
played it. You've never played it.
I never did play it. I need to.
I actually bought that game for $15 on Marketplace when I found out they were delisting it from
what this game?
The Play Store, yeah.
Oh, you played it when it got delisted, or you get?
No, I bought the game digitally. I got the digital deluxe edition, like with the Black Panther, the Spider-Man, all that stuff on there. Then I rebought the physical copy because it was getting delisted.
Yeah,
I do respect Crystal Dynamics because they did when the game was going to get delisted. They actually went on the website. They answered a bunch of the fans' questions.
Spider-Man comes to PlayStation.
I got the one with Spider-Man, and that was here's the thing. I feel like even the whole structure of stuff, like the team mechanical stuff, like, they could have done Avengers in a way where it works. Like with Suicide Squad and all that stuff, it's like I'll give credit where credit's due. It is an open world. You can play as any of the characters. Each one does stuff differently. If only if the traversal wasn't ass.
Yeah, I would say I would say
in both games, it's always the traversal that's ass.
Yo, you guys check out this code. Maybe it's still valid. There's a few things in there. Yeah, but check it out.
It's probably expired though.
You can't even use that. You can't use that.
Go get, bro. You never know.
Use that.
You guys see it.
I've held on to codes before, and I forgot that and there's a few that I went back and tried to use them, and then they were expired, and I was like, shit.
Bro, I thought this was gonna be a hit.
You need to try to use that code that I gave you, bro.
Yeah, but it's Star Wars Outlaws. I'm not trying to play Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah,
bro.
But you probably need to use it before it expires, though.
Speaking of Outlaws, wait a minute.
Code expired.
What?
Speaking of Star Wars,
expired then. When'd you get?
It shouldn't be expired. I thought the $50 voucher code should have been good for a while. I don't think I didn't have it for a year yet.
Nah, it should, because you know what? On my PS5, I had this code for I feel like a 20 pound code or something. 20 pound voucher.
Speaking of Star Wars, I'm really hoping now. I like Jedi Survivor has gotten crapped on when it came to the Game Awards. It got nothing. Same as Marvel Spider-Man. I'm hoping that game gets another game, and the one thing I want them to improve is the way they do the story this time around. Because it did not have the same weight that the original one did.
Survivor is